Last time I did a video about dog breeds and literally 2 of you asked me to do another. Also, at least 1 of you complained that I didn't feature your particular woofer in the last video. After this frankly overwhelming level of interaction for the last video and then several existential crisis style beers where you sort of sit in the corner and weep and wonder why you're still making these damn things, I thought, I know, I'll make another. So here we are, dog breeds, part 2, part 2, part 2, part 3, part... There are many types of dog breeds in the world, as I'm sure you're aware. I mean, you have eyes, some of you don't have eyes, some of you... but you know about dogs. Most of you know that there are dog breeds and that there are many types of them. So, should we... here are 5 more. These little high energy, but sometimes neurotic, but often gentle dogs were designed... well, they weren't designed, were they? They were developed. That's what you say about dogs, don't you? You say they were developed. Well, they were developed to point at and spring out and flush out and retrieve game birds or fowl or hunting, birds. Personally, I like their soft coats. The 2 main breeds now are Cocker and Springer, but there was there's an older breed which are called Water Spaniels, and well, they were bred to retrieve water fowl, so that you would shoot the fowl with an arrow and then the dog would go and get it from the water. Now, in the past, I've done a video about all of the cocks and cockers, and let's not go over that again. You can find that about here. But why all of the different types of springs? Why is there 2 different types of springs? So ones which are like coil things that sit in cars and stop you from having a broken back, but also there's another spring which is, that time of the year where there's blossom and a bit more warmth in the air, and then you can think about maybe going to a pub garden or, getting away from that awful feeling of dread that winter brings. Spring comes from an old English word, springen, and that basically means to leap or to jump or to grow or to spread. So you can kind of see actually why those 2 things, which appear to be 2 separate things to begin with, actually come together nicely once you understand that root. Interestingly, all of the words in Sanskrit and, Proto-German and Latin and Greek, they all have a very similar sounding word. So that kind of that sort of implies that there is a much older word in Proto-Indo-European. But what about the Spaniels? What about them Spaniels? Why are they called the Spaniels? Well, nobody's totally sure, but there is a record of the surname Spaniel dating back to the 13th century, and that probably comes from the word, Spanish, as in Spaniard, Espanol. I don't know. It's all being minced around in my mouth. Why is this happening? So yes, it all shares a common meaning, probably from that. Weirdly, the breed was developed in England, so quite why they're called Little Spaniards, no one really knows. Again, no one really knows. Are you comfortable with that yet, with this whole etymology thing? Either way, cool. And this, of course, is Pigeon, or Pidge, and I'm assured that she's a very, very good girl. So these tiny, fluffy little barking machines are, believe it or not, they're descended from sled dogs. It's only in the last 200 years or so that they've got their tiny little stature. Either way, why are they called Pomeranians? Well, they're from Pomerania. That's a word I can say, which is, it's a province in what was formerly Prussia, which is now modern-day Poland. That area was named after the Slavic tribe that resided there. They were called the Pomorza, which is, in modern-day Polish means by the sea. Oh, and this is Fizzy, and she is a very, very good girl, and probably quite soft, and definitely very fluffy. Now this is Dizzy, the Lurcher. Whippet Bull Terrier. I'm going to have to Whippet Bull Lurcher. Whippet Bull Lurcher. That's what I'm told. However, this video can't be a million years long, so let's just go with the Lurcher bit, shall we? Lurchers are crossbreeds themselves between greyhounds and collies. Some experts say that there's some spaniels in there. I mean, it depends what you read from what I can see. However, I'll let the dog experts debate that one. Lurchers were bred to hunt silently. The name likely comes from the Middle English well, basically to lurk. I mean, it's where we get the word lurk. So it's lorken or lurken, meaning to lay hidden or to be silent. Lurchers were also bred as a, well, it's a commoner's dog really, because, well, commoners at that time when the dog was bred were not allowed to keep hunting dogs. There was a law against it, in fact. So lurchers were bred to get around a stupid law, which was literally one rule for them and another rule for the rest of us. So quite apart from its hunting and lurking, it was just a way of getting around a stupid law. The owner of Dizzy, by the way, says that a better name for the breed might be, well, fucks off into the distance very bloody quickly, which, well, it's quite catchy, don't you think? It's a short one, this, because obviously Pomsky is a portmanteau of Husky, which I covered in the first video about dog breeds, and Pomeranian, which is, well, I covered that back in time in another part of the video, you know, over there. I will say, though, that the story of how the Pomsky breed came together is fascinating, and that's quite apart from the physics of bringing those two very differently sized dogs together. Essentially, the breed has been around, well, it seems, for less than 10 years, and, well, it started as a rumour, then became a myth, and then developed into a bullshit BuzzFeed article, and then was actually made into a thing. They made it happen. There are now Pomskys in the world. Suffice to say, I'll link the article in the description, so just go down there and have a look in the description and you'll see where that article is, as with all of my sources, of course. As mentioned before, Pomsky is of course a portmanteau. I did a video on that one time, so you can probably have a look at that somewhere here, I'd imagine. Also, this is a good opportunity to say like and subscribe, which, God, every cell in my body hates me when I say that. That means I'm hating myself. But, you know, actually, if you like it and you subscribe to the channel and you like the video, it really helps me. It gives me some encouragement to make more videos. And, you know, I like making these videos and I quite like to find an audience. So thank you very much. Oh, and this, by the way, is Mix Master Mampy Swift, who, well, I mean, I would imagine he was named after the drum and bass DJ, and I'm assured is a very, very good boy and probably quite good on the ones and twos. Okay, so another portmanteau, this one, and well, that's where you get two words and you mush them together. Did I mention I did a video on that? So this particular mashup is part Labrador and part Poodle, and well, depending on who you read and what sources you go for, it was either developed in the 80s or in the 50s. They were specifically bred to be hypoallergenic, so that means that people who have an allergy, say towards, or a sensitivity towards dog fur, could have a good old cuddle with one, or maybe, I don't know, just have a life with one as well. Hypoallergenic, by the way, is from the, well, it's both parts of Greek. So hypo means under in Greek, and the allergenic bit comes from a Greek word allos, which means other. Now, there is a story behind that, but maybe that's for another video for another time. But what about the dogs that make up the dogs? Well, one half, the poodle half, they were originally bred as hunting dogs, and well, particularly fowl hunting dogs. So they go into waterfowl. They go and get a I don't know, a duck between its teeth or something and bring it back. Now, the word poodle comes from, well, it has its roots in the German word for the breed, which is Puddlehund. Now, that literally means water dog, sort of, but I mean, it's close enough. It literally means water dog, and of course, the puddle bit is where we get the word for puddle, which does beg the question, why don't we just call them puddle dogs in English? Why don't we just call them that? I mean, it might be a bit more fun. I mean, it's longer, but it's more fun. Similarly, the other dog in this particular coming together is well, it's a Labrador, and they were also bred as water dogs, but they were bred for a slightly different thing. So the Labradors themselves weren't bred to be water dogs, but the breed that Labradors come from were harbour dogs. So they were bred to bring in fishing lines or ropes or lines from a boat to work in the harbour. So later on, they were bred into Labradors, and they were called Labradors. That happened in the 1800s. Now, the reason why they were called Labradors is because they were thought to come from Labrador. It's more likely that the breed comes from Newfoundland, so they're not from Labrador. But Labrador is a place in Eastern Canada. I do very much apologise to the Canadian viewers out there. Obviously, it's Canada. It's just for comedy purposes. I don't know why it's funny to say Canada, and I also don't know why Canadians get very, very annoyed about that sometimes, so I do apologise. I'm sorry. So why is Labrador called Labrador? Well, there are several competing theories on this one. We'll just go through the main one, which is the most likely one because it comes from a good source. And that is it probably comes from the Portuguese Lavrador, probably from the Latin terra laboratoris, which means land of the labourer. Labourer. Either way, this is Marlowe, and according to his owner, who is the handsome chap sitting in the background of this particular picture, he's the best dog. He's the mutt's nuts. He's the dog's bollocks. He's the canine's testicles. Well, you get the idea. He's the best dog. Now, you may have noticed that I'm doing this video in a slightly different surrounding, and that's, well, I'm doing it in bookshops now, and the first bookshop that I'm going to visit, and maybe I'll come back, and I cannot recommend enough because it's such a charismatic place. It's called Bloom and Curl. It's on Colston Street in Bristol, so I'll probably do some cutaways at the moment, and then you can see sort of what the outside of it looks like, and then what some of the inside of it looks like. Either way, yeah. I mean, I'll see you for the next one. Maybe do a like. I've already said that, haven't I? So take care of yourselves and do something that you like. Maybe if you haven't had a Coca-Cola for a while, don't have one. I mean, they're awful. Maybe eat some chocolate. Yeah, do that. Take care. Bye bye.